We'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity with Business Owners. And today we're going to do a podcast on cloning ourselves. So as business owners, this is what's hard. It's how do you clone yourself? How do you do that? And so a lot of that comes through stories. Personally, I don't like stories. They take too long. They take a lot longer to go ahead and tell than just telling the person what to do. But that's discipline. Discipline in the book, Good to Great, discipline people, discipline thinkers, discipline in taking action. So we as owners need to slow down and tell stories because the stories is what will stick. So we're here today with Mel and Elaine. And so in an action vision, coaching session. So if you're not on the Action Vision, I'd look at it very seriously because it's very powerful in being able to take these things and clone yourself. And so, Mel, when I first got into sales, I was terrible at sales. So, right out of college, I went ahead and so I have 3 degrees in business. I had 6 job offers coming out of college, and the only job I knew I didn't want to do was sales because I didn't like salespeople. And I knew I wouldn't be a good salesman because I'm way too direct. And so, I'm way too direct in sales. I don't do well in sales. And so, my wife and I decided to start a family right away. And so she was actually 3 months pregnant. Of the 6 job offers that I had, I took the one that was 100% straight commission sales when she was 3 months pregnant. In addition to that, I went ahead and also we bought a house. So I went into 100% straight commission position as a loan officer in a mortgage company, and it was a small company. And I got 2 days of training, and they said go sell. I went out there, did all of that. I covered a very affluent area, Hinsdale, Illinois, and so Hinsdale, Oak Brook, so very affluent. I knew I'd be very successful. I was not. I made $1 an hour. Went into the president office and pounded on his desk after 3 months. And I said, Tony, I'm doing everything you guys are telling me to do. None of it's working. I mean, I'm making $1 an hour. I'm getting killed here. And he said, well, Mark, it really, it takes time. It takes 12 to 18 months to go and start your business, to really get your business up and going. They didn't tell me that on the interviewing side. And so learned a lot from that. Anyways, so I went ahead and did an evaluation, and I said, well, I don't have, 12 to 18 months. My wife is now 6 months pregnant. We've got a house that we can't even afford to put blinds up on. I mean, I'm dying here. And he said, well, what do you think you ought to do? And I said, well, I think I ought to do this, this, and this. And I listed 3 things. He said, well, go do it. Fortunately for me, I'd started a number of my own companies in college. One of them was a computer company, and I had more computing power at home than the whole company had. So I developed some tools that would help me out there in sales. So long story short, saw great success, accomplished more in a week than I had in 3 months. 6 months after I joined the company, I was promoted to a regional manager, but still doing straight commission sales. 6 months after that, marketing manager, and then a year and a half after that, offered a position as VP of sales with an equity position in the company. And so made a lot of money, saw a lot of success. It was phenomenal. But when I got into leadership, I found that I couldn't get other people to do the things I did in the way that I did them. And so that was frustrating. So I started building a sales force, built it from 4 straight commission salespeople up to 26, I believe it was, and saw a lot of success. But then I started to go through all of that. Then I left that company to start Synergy Solutions, and I saw the same thing where other people could do coaching, but everybody came back to me, and I'm like, even with my 3 degrees, like, how do I clone myself? And that's when I discovered the warm belly rub. So one day I came home, from after a long, hard day. We had 5 kids at the time. And I came in the house, and my wife, she went ahead and said, Mark, Angela, she was the youngest one, Angela needs her diaper changed. So my wife understood the 5 time management freedom fighters: delegate, systematize, contract out, hire someone, or partner with someone. So she delegated it to me. Well, I was a good delegator too. So I delegated it to my oldest daughter, Ginger Ann, who was, I don't know, 10 or 12 or something at the time. And she had actually changed more diapers than I did. So I trained her, my wife and I trained her to change diapers. She knew how to do it. Truth is, she changed more diapers than I did. And so she changed more. So she was proficient at it. And so when Angela lay down on the floor, Angela started, or when she went to change the diaper, I delegated, I said, Ginger Ann, change your sister's diaper. And Angela started crying. And I remember thinking at that time, Mark, you are the worst leader in the world. Like, you're pathetic. You can't even delegate a diaper change. And I remember thinking, Mark, maybe if you paid attention to your oldest and youngest daughter, maybe they could teach you something that you didn't learn in college, that you didn't learn as you traveled all around the world and talked with high level top executive of worldwide companies. Nobody knew the secret to cloning yourself. And I said, maybe, Mark, if you paid attention to this situation, maybe your daughters will teach you something you've never learned before. All of that flashed before us. So I said, I'm going to do that. So I said, Angela, lay down your sister's change in your diaper. And I'd done that before, but I hadn't paid attention what was missing. And all of a sudden, everything hit me. So the baby laid down on the cold, naked, poor naked baby is laying on the cold floor, not required to get the job done. Like, you can change the diaper, on a cold floor, but you don't give the client, the baby, the raving fan experience. In addition, she didn't tickle her, she didn't make her giggle, she didn't give her a hug. So we had trained Ginger Ann mechanically how to do things, but we didn't train Ginger Ann the warm belly rubs, the subconscious things, the things that needed to be done to create an amazing experience in changing the diaper. And then it dawned on me, that's what happens to us as business owners. Over the years, we become skilled in things. And when we're transferring things, so Mel's talking about transferring scheduling and transferring potentially bidding jobs and transferring all the things that he's doing. So when we transfer the mechanical things, but we don't even know what we know. So it's unconscious competence. So talk with your Action Vision coach about the 4 levels of learning and how do you take your unconscious competence, bring it out of that unconscious? How do you become an amazing teacher? And how do you go ahead and get those that you're teaching to be amazing students? Because you got to have both of those. Mel, does that make sense? Any questions you have on that?
Nope, that makes total sense.
So you got to slow down. You got to slow down and you got to say, what am I doing? And so it's body language, it's your voice, it's your tone. You have to literally teach things that maybe you were taught as a child and you don't even know you were taught as a child, or maybe just your personality. So you're going to have to, depending on your personality and depending on the person's personality. If I'm training somebody, I'm a driver analytic personality. And so if I go ahead and I'm trying to find the grid here. If I'm training as a driver personality, if I'm training and amiable, I'm going to be naturally good at setting goals. I'm going to be naturally good at I'm going to be naturally good at driving things forward, but they're not going to be that way. I need to understand myself and I need to understand the person I'm training, I'm delegating it to, and then I've got to build the system. And in another podcast, we'll go ahead and talk about, the 4 levels of learning. We'll talk about the 3 learning modalities: visual, verbal, kinesthetic learning. We'll talk about 3 deep. So there's a whole bunch of things that we need to go through and really understand these things at a deep level. And then we need to so in an ideal world, what Mel is going to do is he's going to have anyone he's delegating something to watch this podcast, because they need to be self-aware. They need to be aware of how Mel's very different personality-wise than they are. They need to learn how to write things down. They need to learn how to ask questions, because Mel's good. Again, he's not going to know what he knows. It's unconscious competence. So have them watch this, Mel. So you're
Okay.
learning, you know this, but they have to know this too to make a good transfer between the both of you. Make sense?
Yeah. Can you, I just need a link to it or something then?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and get that. So if
Okay.
you have any questions on this, connect with your Action Vision coach and they'll give you more details on how to go through it, how to go ahead and, map out your entire team personality wise. And so that will help you to understand the different personalities. And always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.